Welcome to I Love Real Estate Stories from the Trenches from Indianapolis Part 2. Starting right now. Back to Indiana. This property we're driving to right now was a property we bought that day. I'd never seen it. We'd seen pictures of it, and we were actually planning on flipping this property. So we're going to go check it out for the first time. This is the house right here that we bought for $20,000, and it's worth, we figured, $95,000 to $100,000. So we're getting eyes on this thing for the first time. You see this house right across the street right here? Yeah. That one was listed or was under contract for $65,000, and it was still kind of a fixer. Wow. And we have this 2-car garage right here. So I'm thinking, okay, let's see it. We still haven't been inside the house, but I'm like, okay, we're good. Our thing's worth $95,000 to $100,000. I guess, I don't know, right? Like, yeah. I've never seen this house before.
I love that sky, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty out there. I love the trees. I love the green. A lot of the driveways are like gravel driveways. They're not finished. But you know, people parking on their lawns or parking on gravel driveway. Yeah. There's something nostalgic for me about that. Pulling up a driveway and hearing the sound of the gravel kind of crunch underneath your tire. Yeah. Like that was the sound that every summer we were going home to Georgia. Yep. We're here. We're at Grandma and Grandpa's house. Yeah. It was kind of cool. Like you're in the country, you know?
Yeah.
So when we first walked in the house, like it's a shell of a house. Like there's nothing there. There's no plumbing. The windows are single pane, old windows. You got to replace those.
So what is this? Like, is this like an old school style of like window?
Yeah, it's an old window, and they made them very similar, like across the country, obviously at that time.
I've never seen those in Utah.
So in Utah, I've seen those before. In fact, my first property I ever did, the treehouse, had windows just like that. Oh. And I remember my contractor Steve showing me this same thing I'm talking about here. They had little strings on the windows that would pull it up, and inside the wall there was weights. So you would lift the window, and it was assisted by the weight pulling down, kind of like a little pulley thing pulling it up. But that was all inside the wall. But because this wall was opened up, you can actually see the string and you can see the weight inside the wall, which was kind of cool. You see the passenger van through the window.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at this house going, there's no furnace, there's no hot water heater, there's like, you got to rewire the whole thing. Like, there's nothing there. It's a shell of a house.
Wow.
And we were thinking, our rehab estimates from the pictures, we came up with like $25,000 or $30,000 because of the size of the house.
Being able to use stuff, not having a shell.
Yeah. And then we got in there, and I was like, from the second I walked in that house, my gut was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
What was your immediate, like, 30 seconds into the house, what are you thinking? 25? No. Like, what is it really going to be?
40, 45.
Like 40. This is like 40.
40, 45, 50. And also I was thinking, managing this rehab from Utah, my project manager has to manage it through other people from Utah. That's kind of a complicated, very expensive remodel to do. So I was thinking that. The reason why we bought the house actually was because we were going to flip it. Because we sent it out to our list at $30,000. We were trying to wholesale it, make a $10,000 profit. And nobody was buying it at that. But we had an offer for $24,000. And we were like, no, it's worth more than that. We thought we just didn't have a strong buyer's
now you're thinking.
So not only now am I thinking, I literally called or text Luke and I was just like, do we still have $24,000 live money on that? And he said, yeah. And I told Jason right there, I'm like, let's dump this thing. I'm like, let's get rid of this thing. I said, I just want my money back. I literally said, I just want my money back on this thing.
Yeah.
So we sold this property. We had to buy it first. Had we not bought it first and we'd have just assigned the contract, we'd have made it straight up $4,000. But because we bought it, there's friction costs, expenses on the purchase, and expenses on the resale.
How much was all that, would you say?
Ended up being about $1,500. So we ended up making.
But at least you didn't lose money on this dog.
I made just over $2,000 on this thing, and I was so happy just to be done with the thing. But had we not been there on the ground in person and just happened to go buy it and in it, we might have tried to remodel this thing, and that might have been. We wouldn't have lost money, but it would have been a huge rabbit hole, a lot of time sucked out of us for not much profit. So,
good thing we were there for that.
Oh man, glad we got rid of it.
Okay, so here is you guys leaving.
we're waking up to check out of the hotel room and get, because our flight was at, I don't remember, 8 o'clock or something like that. So we had to wake up and eat and return our passenger van.
Like, what were your final thoughts?
It's
like,
always kind of tough to fly east because you lose a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And then just the nature of our flights, we had to wake up early in Indianapolis time to catch our flights. So it was almost like, felt like, I mean, 5:29 is when we were up in Indianapolis time, but really it's 3:29 in Utah time. So it felt really early.
What were your main takeaways from the trip, or reasons you were glad you'd gone and stuff?
I definitely felt like accomplished a lot of goals. One, overall, the trip was extremely worthwhile. For getting to know the areas was great. Getting to know the acquisition manager and training him was great. I spent one full day almost with him, just training him. I was answering any specific questions he had. I was talking more specifically about seller negotiations and how that goes. And then we actually went to an appointment together, so we got to watch the way that I interact with the seller. Getting to know which areas I want rental properties in was great. Going and seeing that house and getting out of that mess and making $2,000 and knowing,
paid for your trip 17
honestly,
times over.
like, just to see that, right? Because sometimes you think something's a good idea, it looks good on paper when you're looking at pictures and stuff, but you're there in the house feeling it in person. That's what you can't get from the virtual wholesaling thing, like being there and seeing the stuff. So when we thought, oh, we can just flip this. No, when you got there in person and we're feeling it, you're like, nah, this is not something you want to do.
Did you have any thoughts on like doing business remotely based on that experience? Was that like a cautionary tale for you? Like, no, or
it's a little more difficult to do things remotely, but it's absolutely not impossible. Most people think I can't do something remotely, so they won't even try it.
Yeah.
But the main thing is, if you take action and actually move forward and just try, you're gonna bump your head, you're gonna skin your knee, but that's what you have to go through to learn there. So we're only going to be better moving forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Salt Lake City, where the local time is approximately 12:55. And we will be taxiing for the next few minutes, so please remain in your seat with your seatbelts fastened and all items stowed until the seatbelt sign has been turned off once we are parked safely at the gate. Please make sure
If you can make money while you're learning, who cares? They're not failures, they're stepping stones.
Totally.
And getting to drive a passenger van? I mean, what's that worth?
Priceless.
Priceless.